Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Today, I want to talk about Brainwashed by Tom Burrell. Now, the subtitle to Brainwashed is Challenging the Myth of Black Inferiority. Now, for those who may not know, Tom Burrell is an African American advertising pioneer. I mean, he was doing his thing back in like the 60s and 70s. In fact, on the back of Brainwashed, it says Marketing Communications Pioneer and Advertising Hall of Fame inductee Tom Burrell is credited with revolutionizing the image of African Americans in television and changing the face of American advertising. His award-winning work promoted positive and realistic images of blacks and acknowledges the purchasing power of the African American community. So this dude knows what's up. He knows how to advertise. And forget what y'all might have heard. The reality of advertising is really the art of getting people to buy something that they normally wouldn't buy. And this is done, through images, definitely through commercials, all of that stuff. Now, when you really break down advertising, it's really just nothing but propaganda. And propaganda, well, I'm gonna be honest, that could be another video talking about that. And talking about Martin Bernays and how he really developed propaganda and how it was used by particularly the Nazis in Germany in the 30s to demonize the Jews. So it's powerful. Propaganda is really, when you think about it, a weapon of war, a powerful weapon of war, because wars must be won first in the mind before anything happens with the body. And if you think about it, when someone wants to advertise something, some company, they want to get some product out, they hire an advertising firm or maybe have a large in-house department to deal with it. They always use the term ad campaign or advertising campaign. And you use the term campaigns when you're talking about wars. So think about just think about that. Now, one of the things that Burrell really, he really understood. In order to be good at his craft, he had to understand what motivates people, black people in particular. And this is what he wrote. He wrote this in the introduction to Brainwashed. He said, understanding what motivates people is a crucial part of my profession. But being a black man, I was compelled to understand the way blacks are viewed in this country and the way many of us unconsciously view ourselves. Connecting the black dots on a larger level early on, from slavery and Jim Crow segregation to commercial and social propaganda, became my passion. And went on to write, Burrell Communications research of the 70s and 80s showed that African Americans have distinct psychosocial needs, desires, fears, hopes, and aspirations, all born of the circumstances arising from my experience as chattel slaves in America. We discovered, for example, that black preference for high-end status brands was driven by the need to compensate for feelings of low self-esteem. Our penchant for lopsided savings ratio grew out of our need for immediate gratification based on a chilling pessimism about an uncertain future. And I mean, he went on to write a few other things as well. Now, one of the things he talked about, and he puts forward the idea that blacks for the last 200 odd years have been victim of an advertising he calls the BI campaign, and that's the Black Inferiority. And he said that it was a campaign to promote black inferiority and white superiority. And in the book, he talks about how this came about and how it affects like different areas of our lives. And in addition to putting out the ideas, he also puts forth some solutions. He puts forth what we can do to counter some of these things. And I don't want to. I'm not that type who's going to just tell you everything about the book. I prefer people do their own research. But one of the reasons I recommend this book is, in my video I did how Rom learned the game, I talked about the street side of what I learned. But the reality is, I'm a very well-read man, and I always read the deep stuff, the deep fiction stuff. I want to know why something happens. And I mean, I'll read everything, like books on psychology, books on religion, because that's a way to program people. Um, just a variety of subjects. And this is for anyone who really wants to know why things are the way they are. Beyond just, what floats around out there, people talking Illuminati and all that stuff. On the real, stuff isn't that damn deep. Now, if you really understand propaganda, that's what we've been under, because if you really look at a lot of what's happening is really promoted by the media, and that's the media. That's probably one of the greatest inventions of the last millennia, probably even longer. And also broadcast television, radio, and all of that. The reason I say that is because it gives a small group of people the ability to project what they want onto the masses. And blacks have been a victim of this for a long time. Now, I'm gonna tell you what, Tom Burrell. I mean, this is a very good book. Like, for any serious scholars, like not just somebody who want to be on some bullshit or just want to troll comments and on YouTube. For any serious scholars, they need to check this book out, because I mean, this brother. I mean, he talks about just so many different areas of Black American experience. He's talking about why we can't form strong families. He traces that the whole, the image that we have of being either studs or sluts. If you think about it, what's the really popular image of a black man? And that's, just being some dude who got 14 kids all over the place, to the point that even black women who should know better, because they should know some men who ain't getting down like that, think, oh, all these brothers are just players. And nobody's like sitting down thinking about it. Or, even how many men think all these sisters are nothing but hoes. And, even I get that even in some of my comments. And it's just like, well, okay, what's the real genesis of that? Because, all women ain't hoes like that. And, all brothers ain't studs like that. And one thing something else he talked about, and, why it really touches like the base of this whole relationship thing. He had a chapter called Uglified. He said, why black and beautiful still contradictions. And that's actually deep. It's deep to the point. Now, I've talked about looks and physical appearance, but I haven't gone as deep as I could into that, because quite frankly, a lot of people, that will bring up some shit in some people. That will bring up some shit. But at the same time, in fact, it's deep to the point. I might not even, I don't even think I'll do it on a video. I have to write a book on that. And a seriously researched book too. It's like, I'm gonna have to footnote it and everything. That's how deep that is. Because it gotta be greater than just my observations. But it's suffice to say, in Brainwashed, that's a chapter to really look at, because a lot of our relationship issues, quite frankly, are because we don't like how we look. And it explains a whole lot, who we choose and everything, whether we have strong self-esteem or low self-esteem. And he talks about some other stuff, and our spending habits, and leadership issues. And I would just say, get this book. You really want to get this book. And it's like, if you don't want to pay for it, find it at a library. Just do it. Just read it. It is, like I say, it is a book for serious scholars, people who really want to get some answers. Because, there's some issues we have within ourselves, but then you always have to look at the big picture. If you're going to, if you're going to study why an animal, any animal, behaves a certain way in a certain it behaves a certain way, you have to look at the environment, what's happening, what's going on. And so with black Americans, if we having so many relationship issues or just issues period, we can't just say it's something intrinsic to us, even though some people try to say it is. But you got to look at the big picture. What are we watching on TV? What type of music are we listening to? What's being advertised? How is it being advertised? I talked in a couple videos ago about how you don't really see that thinking black men represented in media. Another thing you don't see is really loving black couples. Think about it now. How often? I mean, like, just really, not just loving, but just being sexual and loving. I mean, only time, yeah, maybe on some cable shows here and there. But it's like, how many people going to pay for that premium cable? Most of the images, quite frankly, not empowering. Most of them. But you have to you have to ask yourself, all right, who's benefiting from that? Who's paying for those images? Who's running commercials when those shows are being shown? So you have to look at it, and you have to look at the big picture. So anyway, go check that book out. I got a link to it in the comments. I mean, in the description box. So anyway, check out the book, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.